Before you close this video, I want you to stop for just one moment and think about something. How many people do you know right now who are dreaming about a better life in America? How many families are sitting in small apartments, working exhausting jobs, saving every single penny, hoping that one day they will get their chance to start over in the United States? Maybe that person is someone you love. Maybe that person is you. And if it is, then what I am about to share with you in this video could change everything. Because the truth about US immigration is not what most people think it is. It is not as impossible as some people say, but it is also not as simple as others promise. There are real pathways. There are real visas. There are real opportunities sitting right in front of millions of people who simply do not know they exist. And there are also real traps, real mistakes, and real consequences that can destroy your chances forever if you do not know what you are doing. In this video, I am going to walk you through the entire US immigration system, break down every major visa type in plain language, and give you the information you need to figure out which path might actually work for you. So please, stay with me until the very end, because the last thing I cover in this video might be the most important thing you have ever heard about moving to America. And before we go any further, if you are someone who is serious about understanding immigration, visas, green cards, citizenship, and the changes happening in the system right now, this channel was made for you. Every week, I break down complicated immigration topics into simple, clear, honest information, so you always know exactly where you stand and what your options are. Make sure you subscribe right now so you never miss an update that could affect your future. Because in immigration, being informed is not just helpful, it is survival. Let us start from the very beginning. What is the United States immigration system and how does it actually work? At its core, the U.S. immigration system is a set of rules and pathways that determine who can enter the country, how long they can stay, what they can do while they are there, and whether they can eventually become permanent residents or citizens. The system is managed by several government agencies, most importantly, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, which handles applications and benefits, Customs and Border Protection, which manages who enters and exits the country, and Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which handles enforcement inside the country. Understanding that these are three separate agencies with three different roles is important because a lot of people get confused about which agency does what. Now, the immigration system itself is divided into two main categories: non-immigrant visas and immigrant visas. A non-immigrant visa is a temporary permission to enter the United States for a specific purpose and a specific amount of time. You come, you do what you came to do, and you leave. A tourist comes on a non-immigrant visa. A student comes on a non-immigrant visa. A temporary worker comes on a non-immigrant visa. An immigrant visa, on the other hand, is a pathway to permanent residency, which most people know as a green card. When you have a green card, you can live and work in the United States permanently. You do not have to leave. You are not tied to one employer or one school. You have most of the same rights as a citizen, with a few exceptions like voting. And after a certain number of years as a permanent resident, you can apply to become a full U.S. citizen. So let us talk about the non-immigrant visas first, because these are the pathways that affect the most people right now. The most well-known non-immigrant visa is the B1 and B2 visa. The B2 is the tourist visa. The B1 is for business visitors. These are the visas that allow people to come to the United States for short trips, whether to see family, take a vacation, attend a conference, or explore business opportunities. They are typically issued for up to 10 years with multiple entry privileges, meaning you can come and go as many times as you want during that period. However, each time you enter, you are generally only allowed to stay for up to 6 months. And this is where a lot of people make a very dangerous mistake. They come on a tourist visa, they fall in love with the country, they find a job opportunity or meet someone, and they start looking for ways to stay. If you overstay your visa, even by 1 day, you can face serious consequences. A stay of more than 180 days, but less than 1 year, results in a 3-year bar from re-entering the United States. A stay of more than 1 year results in a 10-year bar. These are not small penalties. These are life-changing consequences that can slam the door on your American dream for years. Then there is the F1 visa, which is the student visa. This is one of the most powerful pathways into the United States that most people completely overlook. If you get accepted to an accredited American university, college, or even certain language programs, you can come to the United States on an F1 visa. And while you are studying, you are allowed to work on campus. After your first year, you can apply for something called Optional Practical Training, or OPT, which allows you to work in your field of study for up to 12 months after graduation. If your degree is in a STEM field, meaning science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, you can apply for a 24-month extension of that OPT, giving you up to 3 years of work authorization after graduation. For many people, this is the bridge that takes them from a student visa to a work visa to eventually a green card. The F1 pathway is long, and it requires real academic commitment and real financial investment. But for people who can make it work, it is one of the most reliable roads to building a life in America. Speaking of work visas, let us talk about the H-1B visa, because this is the one you hear about the most, and also the one that causes the most frustration. The H-1B visa is designed for skilled workers in specialty occupations. Think software engineers, doctors, accountants, architects, scientists, and similar professional roles. To get an H-1B, you need a U.S. employer to sponsor you, which means they have to file a petition on your behalf with USCIS. The problem is that every year, far more people apply for H-1B visas than there are visas available. The annual cap is 65,000 visas, plus an additional 20,000 for people who have a U.S. master's degree or higher. Because demand is so much higher than supply, USCIS runs a lottery every year. Your employer submits your application, and then it is essentially a draw. If your number comes up, you move forward. If it does not, you have to try again next year. The H-1B lottery has become incredibly competitive, with hundreds of thousands of registrations every year competing for those 85,000 spots. Many qualified, talented people go through this lottery multiple times before they get selected, and some never do. This uncertainty is one of the most emotionally brutal parts of the U.S. immigration system. You can be the most qualified person in your field, have a great job offer, have done everything right, and still not get a visa simply because of luck. For people who want to come to the United States for work but do not fit the H-1B category, there are other options. The O-1 visa is for individuals with extraordinary ability or achievement in their field. This could be in science, arts, education, business, athletics, or the motion picture and television industry. The standard for extraordinary ability is high. You need to demonstrate that you are among the small percentage of people who have risen to the very top of your field. This can be shown through awards, publications, media coverage, high salary compared to peers, critical roles in distinguished organizations, and other evidence. The O1 is not for everyone, but for people who have truly distinguished themselves, it can be a powerful alternative to the H-1B lottery. Another option is the L-1 visa, which is for intra-company transferees. If you work for a multinational company and your employer wants to transfer you to their U.S. office, you may qualify for an L-1 visa. There are two types. The L-1A is for managers and executives, and the L-1B is for workers with specialized knowledge. The L-1 visa does not have an annual cap like the H-1B, which makes it significantly more predictable. And importantly, the L-1A visa can be a direct pathway to a green card through the EB-1C category, which we will get to in a moment. Now let us talk about family-based immigration, because for many people, this is the most emotional and most misunderstood part of the entire system. If you have a close family member who is a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, they may be able to petition for you to come to the United States as a permanent resident. The relationship determines both whether you qualify and how long you have to wait. Immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, meaning spouses, unmarried children under 21, and parents, are the highest priority category. There is no annual cap on visas for immediate relatives of U.S. citizens, which means once the petition is approved and the background checks are done, the process moves relatively quickly. For other family relationships like adult children, siblings, or relatives of green card holders rather than citizens, the process is subject to annual caps, and the waiting times can be absolutely staggering. Some family preference categories, particularly for people from countries like Mexico, the Philippines, India, and China, have waiting lists that stretch 10, 15, even 20 years or more. That is not a typo. There are people who filed family immigration petitions in the early 2000s who are still waiting today. The emotional weight of that kind of wait is almost impossible to put into words. Families separated for decades, parents who filed for their children and watched those children grow up, get married, and have children of their own, all while waiting for a visa number to become available. This is the quiet heartbreak at the center of the U.S. immigration system. Then there is the diversity visa lottery, also known as the green card lottery, which is officially called the Diversity Immigrant Visa Program. Every year, the U.S. government makes 50,000 immigrant visas available through a random lottery to people from countries with historically low rates of immigration to the United States. If your country of birth is eligible, you can enter the lottery for free. If you are selected, you go through a series of interviews, background checks, and medical examinations. And if everything clears, you receive a green card. The diversity visa lottery is one of the most democratic pathways in the entire immigration system. It does not require a family connection. It does not require an employer sponsor. It does not require an advanced degree. It just requires that you meet the basic eligibility requirements and that luck is on your side. Every year, millions of people from around the world enter this lottery hoping for their chance. And every year, 50,000 of them get it. If your country is eligible, entering this lottery every single year is one of the smartest and easiest things you can do. It costs nothing. It takes a few minutes, and it could change your entire life. Now let us talk about the pathway that many people consider the ultimate goal: the green card and eventually U.S. citizenship. A green card, which is officially called a permanent resident card, gives you the right to live and work anywhere in the United States permanently. You are not tied to a specific employer. You are not restricted in what jobs you can take. You can travel freely and return to the United States without needing a new visa. There are several ways to get a green card: through family, as we discussed, Through employment, which involves your employer sponsoring you through a process called labor certification and then filing an immigrant petition. Through the diversity lottery. Through refugee or asylum status if you are fleeing persecution. And through special programs for certain investors, religious workers, and other categories. The employment-based green card process is particularly important to understand because it is the pathway most skilled workers are trying to navigate. Employment-based green cards are divided into 5 preference categories, commonly called EB1 through EB5. EB1 is for priority workers, which includes people with extraordinary ability, outstanding professors and researchers, and multinational managers and executives. EB1 is the most desirable category because there is no labor certification requirement and processing times are generally faster. EB2 is for professionals with advanced degrees or people with exceptional ability in their field. EB3 is for skilled workers, professionals, and unskilled workers. EB4 covers certain special immigrants like religious workers and broadcasters. And EB5 is the investor visa, which requires a minimum investment of $800,000 in a targeted employment area or $1,050,000 elsewhere, along with the creation of at least 10 full-time jobs for U.S. workers. The EB5 pathway is obviously only accessible to people with significant financial resources, but for those who have them, it can be one of the faster routes to a green card. One of the most painful realities of the employment-based green card system is the massive backlog for applicants from certain countries, particularly India and China. Because of the way the annual per-country caps work, an Indian national applying for an EB2 or EB3 green card today could potentially be waiting 50, 60, or even more years before a visa number becomes available. This is not an exaggeration. This is a documented crisis in the immigration system that has left hundreds of thousands of highly skilled, fully employed, tax-paying residents stuck in a kind of permanent limbo. They have work visas, they have jobs, they have homes and families and deep roots in American communities, but they cannot get green cards because of where they were born. And every year they wait, they live with the anxiety of knowing that if they lose their job or if their employer stops sponsoring them, their entire life in America could unravel overnight. Let us also spend a moment on asylum and refugee status, because this is an area that is both critically important and deeply misunderstood. Asylum is a protection granted to people who have already reached the United States and who can demonstrate that they have suffered persecution or have a well-founded fear of persecution in their home country based on race, religion, nationality, membership in a particular social group, or political opinion. You must apply for asylum within 1 year of arriving in the United States, and the process involves a detailed application, interviews, and often lengthy waiting periods. The refugee program is similar in terms of the protections it offers, but it applies to people who are still outside the United States and are processed through overseas channels before being admitted. Both asylum seekers and refugees face an immigration system that has been under enormous strain in recent years, with backlogs stretching to years in many cases, and policy changes making the process increasingly uncertain and difficult. For people fleeing genuine danger, the stakes could not be higher. This is not a system people enter by choice. It is a system people turn to when they have no other option. So with all of this complexity, all of these pathways and caps and waiting lists and lotteries, what should you actually do if you are serious about immigrating to the United States? The first and most important thing is to get proper legal advice. Immigration law is one of the most complex areas of law in existence. It changes constantly. The rules are different depending on your country, your family situation, your education, your work history, and dozens of other factors. There are people out there, notarios, immigration consultants, unauthorized practitioners, who will take your money and give you advice that is wrong, incomplete, or outright fraudulent. In immigration, bad advice does not just waste your money. It can get you deported, banned, or permanently barred from ever getting a visa. Only work with licensed immigration attorneys who are members of the bar in their state, or accredited representatives who work for recognized nonprofit organizations. Second, understand your current status and protect it. If you are in the United States on any kind of visa right now, know your expiration date. Know what you are and are not allowed to do. Do not work if your visa does not permit work. Do not stay past your authorized period. Do not assume that because nothing has happened so far, nothing will happen. Immigration enforcement has intensified significantly, and the consequences of status violations can be permanent. Third, document everything. Keep copies of every application you file, every receipt you receive, every notice USCIS sends you, every passport, every I-94 record, every employment authorization document. Immigration cases are won and lost on documentation. The more organized and thorough your records are, the better positioned you will be to protect yourself if something goes wrong. Fourth, be patient but stay persistent. The immigration system moves slowly. Waiting times that seem unreasonable are often simply the reality of how the system works. Do not let frustration push you into taking shortcuts or making decisions that could jeopardize your case. At the same time, follow up on your cases, respond promptly to any requests for evidence, and stay engaged with your attorney throughout the process. Fifth, and finally, never give up on your dream. The U.S. immigration system is broken in many ways. It is slow, it is complicated, it is often unfair, and it does not treat everyone equally. But it is also a system that every single year gives hundreds of thousands of people the chance to build a new life in one of the most extraordinary countries in the world. People come here with nothing and build businesses that employ thousands. People come here fleeing danger and raise children who become doctors, teachers, engineers, and leaders. The American story has always been an immigrant story, and that story is still being written today by people just like you, who refuse to stop believing that a better future is possible. If this video helped you understand the U.S. immigration system even a little bit better, please hit that like button right now and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss an update on immigration news, policy changes, and visa information that could affect your future. Drop a comment below and tell me where you are from and what your immigration dream looks like. I read every single comment and I love hearing your stories. You are not alone in this journey. There are millions of people walking the same road you are walking. And together, with the right information and the right mindset, we can navigate this system and build the lives we deserve. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, stay informed, stay strong, and I will see you in the next video.